Well, hey everybody, it's HeapCVA. Welcome to my channel, whether you've been here before or this is your first time. Glad to see you. I'd shake your hand, but it's tough to reach through the screen to do that. We're talking about 911 first responder or emergency 4, depending on what version of this game you have. And the reason this video is existing is that somebody asked me a question that came out of the video I uploaded this morning, that showed me playing on the police/law enforcement side of 911 first responder / emergency 4 versus the fire and EMS side. And it was a valid question that requires a good explanation. And it's very difficult to put into words some of the things that I needed to explain because of the way that replies are treated in YouTube, where it doesn't like when people put a link to another page or certain ways that files are constructed. It will say that word is not valid. So I did put a little bit of text as an explanation with the video, but I thought it made sense to also do this video as well. So where are we at? This is my D drive folder, and most of my games reside in Steam. And so 911 First Responders, which is my version of the particular game, resides in Steam under Steam Apps in the common file. And 911, when you first respond, or when you install it, Emergency 4 or 911 First Responders, either one, it creates two folders underneath, a data file and a mods file. Normally the mods file is empty until you personally install mods. But data has all the stuff. And if I click on this, you'll notice it looks almost exactly the same as any of the mods. In fact, all of the folders that are in a mod folder are based off the basic folders. I'm sure you already knew that. So here's the mods, and I'm in the Los Angeles mod version 2.1, which is the mod I used to do the video yesterday. Somebody had asked me, how do you turn on or off the events that occur in a given time of play on the game when you're using mods? And quite honestly, this would also apply if you use the base data. If you wanted to turn off, let's say, all the fire department events that occur in the game, you could do the same thing in that folder too. If you do that, and I'll show you why, make a copy of anything in that main folder before you make changes. Because if you mess up the data folder for the base game, you have to reinstall the game again. Try to stay away from there if you can. Almost everything you need is going to be in the mod folder for what we want to do here. So I'm in the Los Angeles mod folder, and you see it's got folders in it. And we're looking for a specific folder known as specs. Don't know why it's called specs, but it's SPECS. So I'm going to double click on that and open it up, and you're going to see all of these XML files in here. And just so you know, the XML extension just talks about the language that this game uses to have a conversation with your computer. I believe XML was born out of the programming languages that a lot of the stuff on the internet was built from. So doesn't matter in this instance, other than the fact that we have to know that it has that extension to know that we're opening the right file. So you see all of these files in here. We're looking for the FP files. There's these lines in between the words are known as underscores. They're not hyphens, they're underscores. They would technically underline a word or create an open space if you were typing a document in Word. Params, P-A-R-A-M-S, is short for parameters. And then what they're talking about. And why some of these are multiplied a couple of times, I'm not 100% sure. But the one I want to open first, which is the one that most of the mods use, is called the Endless Game. They might call it something else on the tab as you're getting ready to start the play. But it's known to the computer and to the program, the game itself, as an endless game, meaning that you'll get incidents, events, until you decide to throw the towel in and quit, or everything burns down or blows up. So the first one I need to open, because this is the one for the endless or the open game. There's no challenges, there's no missions to take care of. It's just incidents as they occur. It's called fp_params_endless.xml. And you notice there's some others that have the same, but they have a couple extra characters in it. There's a 2MP, a 3MP, a D, and a regular MP. Well, MP stands for multiplayer. So there may be something in the base game, or for given mods that have multiplayer capability, because not all mods have the ability for multiple people to play, that made a change. We're not worried about those. Pretend they don't exist for this given exercise in in learning. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. So we need to open the fp_params_endless.xml. Nothing extra, just that. So if you right click on that, you're going to get a whole bunch of different ways of opening it, depending on how many programs you have installed on your given computer. If you have Windows, by default, you're going to have Notepad, which has been around since Windows has been around, or the new version, which is WordPad, which the only difference is WordPad actually makes it into something you can recognize, where Notepad there was no spaces. It jammed all of the sentences into one. It was like a run-on sentence. And you would have to break it up. WordPad, if you don't have anything else, is what I would recommend you use to open any of these XML files in this game, unless you have something else you use. Now you can use Word if you have a word processor. Don't use Microsoft Edge. And I would recommend that for right now, don't use XML Editor. I think the only reason I have it is I actually had the free version of the web page builder that Microsoft used to make. They don't make it anymore. So WordPad is an option for you, or for me, I use a program called Notepad++. It's a free download from their own website, and what it does is something that the other doesn't do. If you open it in WordPad, it's black and white, which is fine. You can still see everything, but you notice the sentences are kind of weird. Some things are kind of off-center, or go out past what's called the open and closed brackets. That's what these are, especially where you see an open, because it doesn't have this / and this is known as a closed bracket. If you were building a web page, you'd be using the same stuff. That's that one. The reason I use Notepad++ is because I get color. And for me, for my aging eyes, it makes it easier to see what I'm doing to make sure I make the right decision. So in this particular params underscore, I almost said dash, it's underscore endless. Notice it says free play parameters. So that's what the FP stood for. Endless means that it's an endless game. And parameters is just all the things you can change to change the way the game acts. There are several things that you can make changes to if you want to change something in your game. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to look at one thing and one thing only, and that is the events that the game uses to create the incidents that your vehicles and your personnel respond to. So if we scroll down, we don't have to go very far to get to all the events that are available in the game. And whether you have a mod or the base game, the events are all the same, give or take. So you have events, and then underneath is all the events that are available in this mod. And this one is set up so that the events are kind of in order of who responds to them. So there's EMS calls, then fire calls, then some things where it could be both fire and police or fire and EMS. And then the last one I've seen listed in all of the mods I've ever seen is the earthquake. So now that you know that EFP, don't know what that means, but you'll have event fall, or event shock, or event circulatory collapse, or event flash strike. So that's your events. The very first sentence after the name of the event is going to be the code enabled value equals, and it's either going to be a 0 or a 1. And why is that? This sentence right here with the open and close brackets, which you'll just see that, and then the / means it's a closed bracket. Usually the first line of code for a given event has a value statement in either a 0 or a 1. 0, which you just highlight it, or you can double click if you got good aim with the mouse. Change it to 0. You've turned that event off. And when I made my video last night, what I did is I turned off all of the fire and EMS events and turned on all of the law enforcement events. So that's why this is actually the params endless file I used to turn on and off events for my video last night. So I didn't need to have fire engine and ambulance calls. Although I ran as many ambulances playing on the police side as I did anything else, even had an engine respond. How do you like that? Just shows to go you that none of us operate in a vacuum when it comes to fire, EMS, and police. We rely on each other. Anyway, so notice that they're all zeros, means I had them all turned off. If you make a change in the params endless file, and you like what you've done, and this is what you want to happen in your next event of the game using this mod, be sure you save it. This will overwrite the existing file with this one so that you can play the mod with the new changes. And you can always come back 10 minutes after you've made the change and you didn't like it and change them again, and it doesn't hurt anything. As long as you don't change any words, you just change that number from a 0 to a 1 or a 1 to a 0, everything will be fine. As far as I know, I've ruined some stuff and made some things go crazy, but it wasn't because of that. So that's where that value is that creates or turns on events or turns them off. And it's really as simple as that, honestly. So if I change these all to 0 like I did, hit the save button. Now that's overwritten in that mod. So when you turn that mod on, if you find the endless game or whatever words they're going to use, fire and EMS only, that's what that's for. Now, if we go back to our specs folder, there's another file that you should change at the same time. Why do I tell you that? There's a couple of mods. One being, if I can see it on here, it'll jog my memory. Mayberry mod, or any mods that use the Mayberry mod as their template. If you don't want to see that message during a big fire that says you've lost control and it ends the game, you have to use the other file, which is known as the fp_params_challenge.xml. So if I right click on that and open it for me in Notepad, wow, it looks almost exactly the same, doesn't it? But it's for challenge. Don't get the two confused. Don't move them in between. The things that are in here need to stay in here. You notice that it says miscellaneous, actually, but things just look a little bit different. And what you want to do is the same thing. Double click, turn it on or off, call it a day. Turn that back to 1. And I only do this because I don't know which ones are going to send. I know the Boston mod does that. Mayberry does it, where they'll stop you from continuing your play if it believes you've lost control of a given incident, which may or not be really true, but I want to go even if I burn everything down. So I don't want to be stopped right in the middle of what I'm doing to be told that, even if it's true. So that's why I change both of those. So you do the endless and the challenge FP params folders or files. Gosh, I'm having a hard time saying that. These are files, they're not folders. Remember, if you make a change and you like the change you've made, make sure you save it before you close it. I didn't do anything I want to make changes of, so I'm just going to leave it alone. So as we go back here, let's say I've saved those again. I've made changes and saved them. They've overwritten the existing folder or existing file in this folder. Now you could close everything up, and when you start your game and you open for, let's say you're going to use the Los Angeles mod like I did, the specs files will be changed and it will act accordingly, as long as you remembered to do zeros and ones where you wanted to do zeros and ones. So if you want to turn off all the law enforcement stuff, it's all going to be zeros. You won't get the bank robbers and the hostage takers and the people running amok. You just won't get them. If you left them as ones and you forgot, and you wanted to play on the fire side or fire and EMS side, you're going to get law enforcement events as well. And so it is fairly simple. Once you start doing it, you're going to find it super easy to do. I find myself making changes all the time depending on what kind of game I want to play that given day. And because there's a limited number of mods available, there's not hundreds and thousands. I don't know that there's 100 available to help extend the life of this game, which has been around for a while. And it's one of the few games that's got a lot of life left into it just because of the mods that can be developed. And it's nice to see that some mods are relatively new. You know, the stuff that's like the Borough of Fire Brooklyn or the Manhattan mod, which are made by guys that are doing the design for the Emergency or Emerge NYC, depending on who you are and how you want to pronounce it. Game that we're hoping will come out next year. Those guys developed those mods. They probably helped the Boston mods guys. But you know, the Brooklyn mod and the Manhattan mod in the age of mods are on the young side versus the Los Angeles mod, which is at the oldest side. So in like Camden County just did an update in October. So there is stuff still out there. There's a lot of European mods still active. Not so much on our side of the pond, if you will. I wish that would change. It would be a great deal. And like I said, if I ever have time in my life, I'm still thinking about trying to do one on my own. I might have to get some help from a few people I know, but I should be able to at least put something together, for crying out loud. I just haven't decided where I'm going to land on that yet. But enough of that. I hope you understood what I was saying. The best way you can tell me that you understood how I explain this is hit the like button. And if nobody likes it, I will consider that I didn't do a very good job. But if I do see likes, and I'm not doing that because likes equal subscribes equal blah, 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 whatever they say. I use the like button just to give me kind of a measurement of whether I'm doing a good job or I'm not doing a good job. So this is one of those that I think is important because not everybody knows how to do this stuff. And some people getting into programming language can be a little difficult and kind of intimidating. It's not really once you get into it, but at first it kind of looks tough. Thank goodness this is done in XML, makes it very easy to change and very easy to unchange. If you make a mistake, just remember what you did. So anyway, if the video did what I hope it did, and you got a better understanding of how to make those challenges or changes if you want to make them, think about hitting the like button. Please leave your comments, your questions. I love seeing that stuff. I love responding to them. It's the highlight of my day after I've gotten done with video editing and uploading and all that stuff is to go back and check my email, which tells me that I've got comments to go check out. And at the end of the day, if you like my videos, you like my channel, think about subscribing. You'll be part of the group that's kind of slowly growing, that's interested in the kind of stuff that I'm doing, that are interested in the same type of games I'm interested in. And it gives you the opportunity to hear about new videos and new changes on the channel before other people do that aren't subscribed. And it's always nice to be at the front of a line versus at the back of a line. Enough of that. I wish you a good day or a good evening wherever you are on the planet, whether the stars are out right now or the sun is out. For me, the stars are out, although it's cloudy outside, so I can't see them. I'll get working on making this into a video and get it up real quick. Hopefully I didn't make it too long, so it won't take too long to render. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.